Hello and welcome to another video with me, Rauchenwald. Now in today's video I'm going to take a closer look at Alpha Network, a new application that you can install on your phone, and basically by pushing a button once per day you can earn something called Alpha Coins. Now I know that sounds familiar because we've seen it over and over again in other projects like Pi Network, B Network, Eagle Network, Midoin and so on. However, we're going to closely look at Alpha Network specifically to try to decide if it's worth your time or if it's potentially some kind of scam to just generate advertising revenue for the project's creators. Now before we jump into this, however, I want to point out one thing. What I'm sharing with you is my opinion, how I perceive Alpha Network, and basically what I think is positive and what screams scam. However, the one question that you have to ask yourself is, what do you think based on what you found, maybe combined with the things that I'm showing you in this video, and do you actually have something to lose? Because one thing I can take away is that Alpha Network doesn't have any kind of in-app purchases, and the permissions that the app asks for are not super extensive. So even if Alpha Network would turn out to be a scam, what would you actually lose besides a few seconds of your time by pushing a button once per day? On the other hand, if Alpha Network is legit, how much would you regret it if the coin turns out to have some kind of value when you then know that you had the opportunity to join, but you missed it because somehow you got scared away by a little bit of missing information or lack of transparency? I'm not saying that that's the case with Alpha Network. I just wanted to make clear that you have to make your own choice. And last but not least, if you decide to sign up and nobody else so far told you about Alpha Network, you can use the link in the description below and the referral code that you find there. If someone else already told you about Alpha Network, then do the right thing and use their referral code, because then they deserve the credit. And with that, we jump right into it. I'm going to put my Alpha Network app right up here, and you can see I'm on the login screen. When you decide to join Alpha Network, or if you decide to join Alpha Network, you can either create an account using your Facebook account or a Google account. Now, I signed up with Facebook, and one thing I want to show you in this video is when I try to continue with Facebook, I actually receive an error or a message that tells me I'm already logged in, and I actually have to click log out and then click continue with Facebook again to get into the app. Now, I don't know how many other people have that issue. I think that it's some kind of bigger oversight, in my opinion, from Alpha Network to basically have this, because the biggest problem with that is when you log out, just like in other applications like Pi and P Network, it actually ends your mining session. So if you kind of like try to log in while your 24-hour period is going on and you do that, it basically ends your current session, and just like for me right now, I actually have to start again by pushing the button. Now, this is one important aspect. We're going to circle to that later in the video when I talk about one of the aspects mentioned in the Alpha Network white paper. But for now, we're going to stay within the application. One thing I like here, I mean, we already recognize that the interface is quite similar. We see our countdown for the session, we see the balance we have and our mining rate. But one really great thing is the boost feature, where all the apps that we reviewed use advertising to generate revenue, either as some kind of scam to enrich themselves or to actually fund the project. Alpha Network rewards you for it. So by opening the app once per day, pushing a mining button, and then if you want to, watching a few ads to boost your mining rate further, you could actually increase your earnings. Last but not least, when we scroll down a little, we can see the team section, and you can see that I have one team member and that's currently active. I honestly don't recall inviting somebody, so it's possible that you yourself already count as a team member in your own team, so the base mining rate is actually slightly higher. That's it from the home screen. There are no news, no updates, no nothing here. It's literally just your mining rate, your mining session, and your information for the team, plus the boost feature by watching ads. Now, the second section we have is a kind of like statistical section, which shows you your current balance, the balance that you currently collected in the mining session. So if you finish the 24-hour period, how much you will get credited, and you can see that it increases over time. Then your mining rate explained, so how much your base mining rate is, how much you got from active referrals, and how much your mining rate increased by using advertising boosts. And last but not least, the supply left, which is a crucial aspect of Alpha Network. Unlike other projects, Alpha Network has a total supply of 500 million coins, and once they are distributed, there's no mining anymore. Now, that might seem like a super great aspect of the project, because looking at other projects, many people criticize it's a scam because there will be so much supply and so on. However, I consider the 500 million limited supply not really a great thing, for two simple reasons. Number one, Alpha Network is currently only available on Android, and the way it looks right now is that roughly 1 million of the supply already disappears per day. So with more users joining, the supply will dry up faster, and since there's no iOS versions, people using only iOS iOS that are not able to run, for example, BlueStacks on their computer like I'm doing here, so basically using an emulated Android device, will be missing out and left behind. If there's no mining going on anymore at some point, it means there's no incentive for users to join, which obviously would be a bad thing for the project to happen. And number two, with the max supply and the problem that the supply will be used up fairly quick the faster Alpha Network grows, we will reach a point where there will be no mining anymore, but where potentially the project is still not at a point where you can use the coin, which means people would have no incentive anymore to open the app every day, to check for updates, to follow the project. And many of the users that would mine Alpha Coin right now would actually lose interest in the project and forget about it, which means if or when the project reaches the stage where you can transfer coins or where they are a real coin and are listed on an exchange, it would lack the critical mass to actually create supply and demand and might fail or be already dead in the waters. As a result, you can see that we can look at the 500 million limited supply as kind of like a positive thing because we know the maximum supply, or as a negative thing depending on how the development plays out. Now, one thing I always need to mention in videos like this is that when I say mining or when Alpha Network says mining, there is actually no real mining going on. There is no such thing as mining on mobile applications. It would theoretically be possible on Android devices if you download an APK file, so not install the app from the Google Play Store. However, every app that's listed within the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store cannot mine on your phone. It's simply not allowed by Apple and Google, and therefore if an app would actually mine on your phone, it would not be listed on the store or would get removed very, very fast. So just like with other projects that we looked at in Alpha Network, you're actually not really mining. Although the white paper, and we're going to get to that in a moment, states differently, but my assumption is, or the way things look like, it's the same thing like with other projects. You push a button, it signals the server that you started your mining session, and then just some internal counter is running, and after 24 hours you get coins credited. Although those are no real coins yet because there is no blockchain for Alpha Network, so there's no way to verify that it's real cryptocurrency. That's not a huge problem if they eventually get there, but it's worth mentioning that at the moment you pretty much just earn some virtual balance of something that's worth nothing right now, but might have a value in the future. I think with that we pretty much summed up what's in the app. The last thing would be your profile section where you see your name, your referral code again, links to the social media platforms, which we'll also go into in a second in this video, and some links to parts that are also available on the website. So with that, we're done for the app. So I'm going to take it down from here and we're going to move on and going to take a look at the website of Alpha Network. Now, the first thing we notice is that Alpha Network is only available on the Google Play Store, as mentioned before. I think this is an issue, especially in combination with the limited supply. However, it is what it is, and the project in the white paper mentions that an iOS version would be coming in the future, so we'll have to wait and see. But if the project is able to get some serious growth, like we've seen in other projects, like for example B Network or Phonium, then the supply would run out before people would be able to join on iOS, and I think that would be a huge issue. I'm going to click Allow Cookies here so we can see the full website, and basically when we scroll through it, we see there's not much. So we have like the white paper section where we go to in a second. We have the journey section that talks about the progress, and we have links again to the social media platforms. And in the top menu, we also would have an FAQ section. So let's start off with the white paper and look at the important points, or the points that I consider important. The first thing we notice when we look at the white paper that it's not very long, so it doesn't contain a lot of information. And if we go through each section, we notice that there's a part that mentions our current phase, so where we're currently building a user base and mining Alpha Coin. Although again, it's not really mining. It mentions that the iOS version will be coming in the future, but it doesn't mention when exactly, and that they plan to launch an Alpha Network wallet app. Now, the wallet app would be a critical stage because at this point, Alpha Network users would be able to transfer coins between each other. That doesn't mean that those will be real coins, and it doesn't mean that the project is legit. It simply means that at this point, if you believe Alpha Network has a value, you could say, okay, I'm going to sell my Xbox and you can pay me in Alpha coins. And it would be your risk. Either the project turns out to be legit and the coins will eventually have a value, or you just got paid in worthless currency for whatever you're selling. Now, the white paper here only teases that details about phase 2 will be revealed later on and that they are going to be big, but that's not what a white paper is supposed to be like. So it's kind of like not a marketing message. It should contain information about the project in very, very detailed aspects, which so far is not the case here. Last but not least, phase 3 would consider mining is closed, so all the 500 million coins have been mined, and then the only way to earn Alpha Network coins would be by running a node theoretically. Now the white paper doesn't go into detail if nodes will actually earn coins in terms of getting a part of transaction fees or in any other way. It only mentions that nodes will serve the benefit of being able to vote on decisions within the Alpha Network project or progress. So it remains to be seen if running a node actually will make sense. And that's also a big problem, because if there will be no incentive for people to run a node, so for example, you run a node on your computer 24/7, but you receive nothing in return, then there likely will not be that many nodes and the project would have a structural problem, but that also remains to be seen. Now the next section, the white paper, pretty much does what all projects do, point out flaws or problems within Bitcoin and other coins and point out their solution. However, their solution really doesn't go very far, because what they mention here, and it's actually one of the tricky things and one of the things we cannot verify and that I honestly don't really believe, is that they are using virtual mining nodes. And in the next section here within the supply, we actually can see that they're mentioning that it's a complex process of synchronizing the virtual mining nodes, which is very resource intensive and therefore needs to be adjusted and so on, which actually they use as an explanation for the 24-hour mining cycles. In other words, what the white paper states here is that Alpha Network is running some kind of hardware online, which obviously costs money, so that when you push a button, there's a real cloud mining session going on, and I honestly don't believe that for a second. In my opinion, that would be a very, very dumb thing to do, because it would mean that Alpha Network actually spends real money to run some kind of server so that all users, when they press a button, have virtual mining sessions running on that hardware. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's just like in every other project. You push a button, it synchronizes with a server and tells it your mining session started. And then you have a counter in the app that counts up for 24 hours. And if you finish your mining session without logging out in between, then it synchronizes again and your balance gets updated. But you don't mine any real coins. There's no real cloud mining. I don't think that's the case here, and I think that's a blatant lie in the white paper, and at best just trying to mislead people. Now, as said, that's just my personal opinion, because there's no proof that there would be any mining going on, and from a business perspective it would be a very, very dumb thing to do it this way, when you can just use, for example, the Stellar blockchain and then eventually create your 500 million supply of coins with like one comment or pretty much out of thin air and distribute them. So there's no point to have any kind of real or virtual mining nodes going on. And it just seems like that's something they came up with to try to justify somehow why there's a 24-hour mining session and make it seem more legit. In the end, however, don't forget, the big question is, what do you actually have to lose? Because considering that I don't have to invest any money, it takes me only 5 seconds of my time per day, I rather in 1 or 2 years from now uninstall the app, because there is no progress anymore, there will be never a value to the coin, and I realize I wasted 5 seconds of my time, then get hung up on one issue in the white paper or one minor other thing, and then eventually realize that I missed out on a great opportunity. Anyway, for the purpose of this review, I wanted to point it out so you actually also can think about that and make a better decision if you want to use Alpha Network or not. If we then continue with the white paper, it goes on and talks about the value, that the coin itself doesn't have a value, and if there is a value, it will be based on the community. So basically, if you're willing to accept, if you're willing to give me $100 for one Alpha coin, that would establish the value. If nobody is willing and you are not willing to give me $100, well, then the coin cannot be worth that much. It's kind of like, in other words, simply said, supply and demand. If people are not willing to pay anything for the coin will be worthless. If people are willing to pay a lot for the coin will have a higher value. So that entire supply paragraph here pretty much is common sense when it comes to dealing with currencies in general. Last but not least, we have the how it works section, and it pretty much just mentions the roles that we also know from similar projects like Pi Network. So you have your base miner role. As a referral, you get a higher mining rate, and your mining rate in general, how it's calculated and so on. You have a base rate, the referral rate, and the boost rate from the apps, and that's pretty much it. So the white paper misses out on a lot of things. Like, while it's clear based on the information that's there that Alpha coin is supposed to be a proof of stake coin and not a proof of work coin like Bitcoin or currently Ethereum, for example. However, it doesn't mention if they are going to create their own blockchain or if it will be built using an existing blockchain model, like for example the SpareX blockchain or anything similar. So it misses a lot of information, and it kind of is just superficial to tell people like why it's a great reason to mine the coin, but there is no proof or no evidence that would support that there is actually something being built. And the biggest red flag, in my opinion, in the white paper is the claim about the virtual mining nodes, but it remains to be seen. It could be possible that it is like this, but then in my opinion it would be a dumb business decision. Now with that, we can move on to the Our Journey section, which pretty much just summarizes that they started pretty much last year, researched other cryptocurrencies, read a bunch of books, and started to create some kind of app. Now that here looks like a desktop application. This here then looks like a mobile application. Both of that doesn't really help us realize what's going on. None of that proves that there is a literal blockchain being developed. So it's just kind of like some kind of like eye candy and shows, okay, we've been working on something along the way. But it doesn't disprove anything and it doesn't prove anything either. Moving on to other parts real quick, we can check the privacy policy, and there we notice that it covers a lot of things that many other projects miss. So it contains a section specifically for CCPA, which is the California Consumers Privacy Act or something like that, and for GDPR, which applies to all residents and users within Europe. However, if you're familiar with GDPR, you would also know that they should have appointed or mentioned a contact person that you can contact when it comes to questions about those privacy things, like what kind of information is stored about you, request that the data be deleted, and so on. And that's kind of like missing here, but I'm not holding that against any company because it's really challenging to figure out what kind of stuff you need to put in your privacy policy to be compliant all over this planet. Overall, at least they have a privacy policy, because some projects we looked at didn't even have that. Now, last but not least, if we move to the terms of service, there's actually only one piece of information that's relevant here. It says prevailing law of Denmark, which leads us to believe that the business or the individuals responsible for Alpha Network are actually residents of Denmark. So they are within Europe, which means stricter privacy regulations apply to them, and they risk huge fines if they would misuse or sell your data without your consent in any way, which in my opinion offers a little bit of comfort. Now, last but not least, if we check out the social media platforms, there are actually only two that I want to focus on. First of all, it's Facebook, and the second one would be YouTube. Now, the Alpha Network Facebook page is great because Alpha Network uses it to communicate updates and also reply to comments. It doesn't help us make the decision that Alpha Network is legit, but it points towards them at least being transparent and providing answers when people have questions. Now, on the other hand, if we take a look at the Alpha Network YouTube channel, things look slightly different because there are only two videos here, and I actually have a problem with both of them. The first video is, as you can see, a 15-second teaser that just shows the Alpha Network user interface, mentioned coin with limited supply and mine before it's too late. So it's just creating fear of missing out, so-called FOMO, without kind of like providing any kind of additional information. The second video is this dude here in his nice suit talking about Alpha Network, but also not providing any kind of detailed information and just throwing around some crypto catchphrases. And what I have a real problem here with is the lack of authenticity. Because as you may notice, I mean, a blind person likely could possibly notice that as well, this guy is just standing in front of a green screen, and the entire background is not some decent looking Alpha Network office, but it's literally a photoshopped image with the Alpha Network logo in the background. And that doesn't create a lot of confidence. I would be more confident in the project if it would be some kind of like regular person. It could be this dude, of course, in his suit, but sitting in his actual office, and even if it's his home office or whatever. But that short video here, other than that it doesn't contain any kind of real information, actually makes me more disliking, quotes, the whole project, because it seems like they're trying to be or look bigger than they are or better than they actually are. And I think it's a little bit misleading because people on first glance might actually not notice that this is just some Photoshop background. But that's pretty much it. So when we sum up Alpha Network, in my opinion, it is a waste of time. I don't believe that project will ever be a real coin or have a value. However, I don't have to invest any money, and it only takes me like 5 seconds per day to open the app and push the button. So I'm also going to use the app because maybe I'm wrong and Alpha Network will achieve a value in the future. And then obviously I'd rather have those coins than realize that I was wrong and missed out on an opportunity. Last but not least, another reason for me to actually use Alpha Network is to keep tabs on the project. If there would be any huge development, it would show that they are definitely legit or that they're definitely a scam, or other interesting news about the project, I will do my best to provide an updated video. which also serves as your cue to hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon so you receive a notification when or if I'm able to publish a new video about Alpha Network, so you stay up to date there as well. As always, if you have any question whatsoever, if you disagree with my assessment, if you think there's something I missed and so on, simply leave a comment in the description down below, or use the other link in the description of the first pinned comment down below to jump on our Discord server and discuss Alpha Network with me and others there in the Alpha Network channel. Thanks for watching. See you in one of my other videos. Till then, bye bye.